Hey y'all, Tom, ND3N here, and thanks for dropping in for a Ham Shack chat. In this video, I've compared 7 different HF rigs. All of them are under $2,000, and I've split it into a couple different categories. Now I'm going to discuss my methodology for determining the best rigs on this list. Let me start off with a disclaimer. Out of these 7 rigs, I've only ever used 2 of them. For all of them, I identified what I thought were the most important features, and then I applied a weighting for each feature. I broke them down into the best entry-level rigs, which are those below $1,000, and best mid-level rigs. I also tossed in a couple of also-rans. For price, I looked at the MSRP and then the price at HRO, Gigaparts, and DX Engineering. I averaged the prices that the 3 different retailers were asking to give me a general idea of what it will cost you to put each one of these rigs into your shack. Now keep in mind that the prices shown here were valid on the day this video was recorded. And retailers are constantly applying coupons and other discounts that may affect the shown cost. So do your own shopping research before pulling out that credit card.
Credit card debt, credit card debt.
Links to each of the retailers mentioned are in the video description. My methodology is a modified quality function deployment, or QFD, which is a tool used in business for rating and comparing different decisions. The problem with using a QFD is that it is usually done by a committee consisting of expert specialists in multiple disciplines. I'm just me. The features that I looked at for each rig was whether or not it had an internal antenna tuner included, if it had CW decode capability, and if it had a keyer. The level of digital signal processing, whether include coverage of the 6-meter band. By the way, all of these cover the standard HF bands, whether the rig includes coverage of VHF and UHF additionally, and whether it included digital voice, and the receive sensitivity for CW and SSB modes on the HF bands. The highest weighted features were the DSP and receive sensitivity, because good output and hearing are, in my mind, the most important capability of any ham radio. So let's move on and see how everything fell out using my criteria. And keep in mind, your criteria and your weighting will probably be different than mine. However, I will be presenting the high-level information on each rig so that you can then go and make your own decision rather than just trusting my designation of best.
You don't trust me, do you trust you?
In the also ran category were the ICOM IC7100 and the Kenwood TS590G. The IC7100 has an MSRP of $1,029.95, but you can pick it up at HRO for $929.95, which is the best price I could find. It is also available at Gigaparts or DX Engineering for $995.95. Now, it does not have a built-in antenna tuner, so if you want to have that feature, you'll need to buy an external one. It does have an internal keyer, covers the 6-meter, 2-meter, and 70-centimeter bands, and includes the D-Star digital voice mode. It does have some basic digital signal processing and good receive sensitivity, but it doesn't compare with what's on more modern rigs. In short, it's rather old technology, so it went into the also ran category. Also in the also ran category, because of outdated technology and because it is the most expensive rig on this list at an average cost of $1,608.62, it just doesn't have the capabilities to justify that price. That's the Kenwood TS590G. If you'd still like to get one, you can find your best price at Gigaparts, which is $1,595.95, which is about $3,000 off the MSRP. The 590G has a built-in antenna tuner and keyer, a very basic display, and a limited DSP. It's an HF plus 6 meter rig, but it has the worst receive sensitivity of any on this list.
I can't hear you!
Now, don't get me wrong, I am a fan of Kenwood rigs and have owned and still own several of them. My TS890 here is my primary station rig, and it's proven to be one of the most capable, intuitive, and hard-working radios that I have ever owned. But it's in an entirely different class than the ones I'm covering in this one. Now, as an aside, there's a rumor going around that Kenwood is getting out of the amateur game. I certainly hope that's not true, and that any problems they're currently having are temporary and due to the supply chain issues that are affecting many industries, but especially amateur radio. There were 2 rigs that came in under $1,000, and as you can expect, they are really not competitive with other rigs that were over $1,000. However, they would be fantastic rigs for a new ham who doesn't want to break the bank, but does want a good, functional, reliable rig. While they don't have a lot of bells and whistles or incredible displays, these are good starter rigs and might even be considered by more experienced hams as a backup portable field day parks on the air kind of rig. So coming in at the number 2 position for entry-level rigs is the ICOM IC718. Now this is an HF plus 6 meter rig that's available at HRO, Gigaparts, and DX Engineering for $639.95. It has a very basic display, very basic DSP, and a CW keyer built in. It has comparable receive sensitivity to the more expensive rigs, but it does not include a built-in antenna tuner. So if that's important to you, an external unit can be added, and I recommend the LDG Z100A, available at HRO for $199.95. Let's call it $200. Still keeping your overall radio cost to under $1,000. And the best entry-level rig is the Yaesu FT891. Like the IC718, this is an HF plus 6 meter rig with an average price of $649.28. The best price of $617.95 can be found at Gigaparts. It also doesn't include an internal antenna, so add about $200 to that cost if your station needs an antenna tuner. It has a basic display and basic signal processing. It does have good receive sensitivity. It has an internal keyer for your CW enjoyment. And like all Yaesus, and this is the primary reason why it got elevated to first, it's built like a tank. It'll handle a bit more abuse than other manufacturers' rigs. And please note that abusing your radios is not recommended.
Everybody check your equipment. I don't want any surprises.
But sometimes it can happen. Choosing between first and second place in the entry-level category was difficult, but the FT891 was just a bit better. Either one would be a great starter rig.
But wait, there's more.
Now let's move on to the mid-level rigs. Before I get into them, let me mention that yes, there are much more expensive rigs out there. but they are in a completely different class, and they can get expensive very fast. We're talking a range of 4, 5, 10, even up to 16 grand. And by the time you are in the market for something like that, you've probably been around the block a few times. You know how to do your market research. You don't need my help. That said, let's move on to the mid-level rigs.
Look at this mid-level fish here.
There are 3 mid-level radios on my list. These rigs are all under 2 grand. All of them have advanced DSPs, internal antenna tuners, built-in keyers, and extremely sensitive receive sides. I consider the price range of these rigs to be in the sweet spot of ham radio. Any one of them could have placed first, but after running them through my QFD, first, second, and third place became obvious. Starting with third place is the rig that I own and which serves as my backup HF and portable operations rig, the Yaesu FT991A. The 991A is an HF 6 meter, 2 meter, and 70 centimeter rig, which also has the Yaesu System Fusion digital voice mode. It has an internal antenna tuner, advanced DSP, excellent receive, a nice but not so excellent display. And by the way, the display is the main reason that it did not rate higher in this category, especially when compared to the other two. The average price for the FT991A is $1,263.28, with the best pricing available at both HRO and DX Engineering being right at $1,229.95. Next, in second place is the other Yaesu, the FTDX10. It has the same advanced DSP, the exact same one as the 991A. Internal antenna tuner, internal keyer with CWD code capability. This rig has a large, easy to read, and informative display. I especially like the 3D waterfall. The FTDX10 has the same price at all the retailers I looked at, $1,399.95. This makes it the most expensive rig on my list. Finally, the ICOM IC7300 gets the blue ribbon for best rig on my list, with an average price of $1,266.62 and the best price of $1,149.95 at HRO. This rig has an internal antenna tuner, internal keyer, excellent receive sensitivity, the second best display just behind the FTDX10, and the most advanced DSP of any of the rigs on this list. It is truly a marvel of engineering at an affordable price. Some of you may disagree with how I scored these rigs, but you can be assured that any of them, whether entry-level, mid-level, or even the also-rans, would be good additions to your ham shack and give you many years of great service.
Put your finger on it so I can tie it in a bow.
Please take a moment and give me a like.
Please like me. Please.
Share this video with your friends.
Thanks for sharing. Didn't know.
And leave a comment below.
I can't comment.
I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll take some time to view others of mine. As always, 73 until the next Hey Y'all, I'm Tom, ND3N, and I am out.